The Disney Lorcana Challenges have been the most exciting events in Lorcana's short history. Attending a high level competitive event that is strictly focused on Lorcana is such a refreshing and fun part of playing the game. But there's more to these events than simply enjoying one event. The number and value on the side events throughout the weekend make these DLCs must attend events if you're actually able to get to them. For any competent Lorcana player, the expected value of attending one of these events, if you're lucky enough to get a ticket and can join in the first few minutes when those tickets go on sale, and believe me, I know it can be difficult to get those tickets, but I can give you some tips on that if you ask. Just ask in the comments, and I'll give you some tips as to how to get those tickets if you're looking for that as well. But the value is off the charts. So let's see how we can maximize that value and truly understand what you can expect from joining one of these events from a financial perspective. So let's start with just signing up. The cost to sign up for one of these events is $55. Just for signing up, you get two prizes automatically. You get a promo enchanted, I guess we'll call it, but it's enchanted foil Dragonfire, which is currently valued at like $85 to $88. Typically, right when a DLC ends, the value goes down. And then, like right now, for example, we're a few weeks out from the last US DLC, for example. The price has gone back up a little. You could have like sold them for around $100 about a week ago, but it's generally anywhere from $85 to $88. You also get for signing up early, which I can't imagine you wouldn't do if you were signing up for one of these events. One thing I will say is they've actually now going into Fort Worth, which is the next DLC. They've actually upped the time as to when you can sign up early. It's now like 2:00 in the afternoon on Friday because there are side events that you can also play it on Friday, which we'll get to in a bit. But as of currently, you get the Flotsam and Jetsam promo, and then starting with the DLC in Toronto, because Shimmering Skies will be out by then, you'll actually get the promo Kristoff Reindeer Keeper. Obviously, the value on these will vary depending on where we are in the cycle. We're about halfway through the Ursula's Return cycle, so the Flotsam and Jetsams have kind of become a little bit, out there. There's a lot of them that are out there, but you only get one for really signing up. It's not like there's been other conventions that you can really get a bunch of them at, like there has for other promos in the past. I don't believe you can even get them from the prize wall. I don't think you would want to. So the current value on the Flotsam and Jetsam is about $20 to $25. And then when the Kristoff comes out, it'll probably be somewhere from $25 to $30. So you're automatically up money just for signing up. To $55 to get into the event, and you're basically making at least $105 minimum. So that's pretty good. You're already up just for signing up for the event. Of course, no DLC stops there. We're not just here to pay our $55, play in the event, play a few rounds to get our Dragonfire, and then get out. Obviously, we're here to try to earn our way to make amazing prizes, which is the real reason you want to play in a DLC to begin with. However, this is just the start. As I'll get into in a second, they added prizes to this list since Atlanta. The first time was in Chicago, and I believe in Bochum it was the same exact thing. But let's take a look at what the prizes actually are just for playing in one of the events to begin with. So if there's 1,024 players versus more of them, the prizes are a little bit different. On the left-hand side is what happened actually in Chicago, and on the right-hand side is essentially what happened in Atlanta, but I'll get into it in a second. 1,024 players like there was in Chicago. The prizes are basically half. It's very important to see this. When you get to, there are now prizes for certain ranking points that you get. So if you get 10 to 19 ranking points, you get 6 prize tickets, 20 to 29 points, 14 prize tickets, and 30 plus, which is really the goal, which I'll get into in a second, is 20 prize tickets. Top 64, and anyone that has the points based on it will get a Let It Go. Top 32, if you win your first round on Sunday, will get the Cinderella Stoutheart foil promo. Top 16 will get the Rapunzel Gifted with Healing promo, and top 8 will get the foil playmat and obviously an invite to the North American Championships, which we don't know anything about yet. Top 4 in 1,024 person event will get the coveted golden serialized Mickey. Top 2 will then get some extra prizes that don't really mean a whole lot. 2 boxes of Ursula's Return and 100 prize tickets. And the champion also gets a complete foil set of Ursula's Return or whatever set is current at the time, including Enchanteds. The real key, though, is when you have one of the larger events, like, for example, how Atlanta was and how Fort Worth will be. I'm not sure what's going on with Toronto. I believe Toronto is also the bigger prize as well. The prizes are basically doubled. So I don't think we don't know yet whether or not the prize ticket prices will be prizes will be doubled, but we do know that based on Atlanta, now all of a sudden, roughly to around 128 people got to let it go. Top 64 just from making Sunday automatically got the Cinderella. And then it goes up from there. So win one round on Sunday, you get the Cinderella. Win another round, get the Rapunzel playmat. Top 8 now get the serialized Mickey, which is double the amount from before. Top 4 now get the extra prize tickets and the boxes. Top 2 get additional boxes and additional prize tickets, and then first place still gets that foil playset with the Enchanteds as well. The values are down below. This is as I've taken them on July 14th. So the Let It Go is worth anywhere from 800 to 1100. Cinderella Stoutheart is 2200 to 3000. Rapunzel Gifted with Healing, the foil version is 5500 to 6000. There aren't a lot of them out there. Same with the playmat, 2500 to 3000. And Mickey's, I don't really want to get into like the specifics around like what the Mickeys are going for, but I have seen some of them out there in auctions. I mean, I think conservatively, depending on how they're graded, what the number is, etc., I want to call it 25,000 plus. I've heard some ridiculous numbers on the top end. I've heard under that for raw versions on the low end. So I'm just going to call it 25,000 plus. But obviously, in my opinion, winning the Golden Mickey could be some life-changing money for people. The prizes up above. Obviously, depending on where you finish, it's very good money, and it definitely pays for, in my opinion, the rest of the trips, which is really what you're looking for. Like for example, I top 64 in Atlanta, won the Cinderella and the Let It Go. That's going to basically pay for all my trips, no matter where they are for the rest of the year to get to any DLC. And honestly, that's really the goal, is to get yourself to the event and be able to play for these prizes, so that you can continue to basically, I don't want to say play for free, but you basically are using your prizes from one event to basically pay for the next. And that's the whole goal, is to basically like go infinite, quote unquote, to be able to roll one event into the next. So in my opinion, one of the biggest improvements that they made between Atlanta and Chicago was adding a 30-point consolation goal to not making day 2. So this was actually huge. The point of going to a DLC was obviously to make day 2 and play for those prizes that we just talked about. But the other thing was, if you played in day 2, you had no real chance of getting all the amazing prizes on the prize wall. So what I really liked that was improved in Chicago was that they added a step function, basically. So at 30 points, which is, the equivalent of 10 single wins, or with the 2-game system, obviously there's some, 4 2-0 wins and one other win will get you the 30 points, etc. So basically, and this carries over as well. Like if you make day 2, you also get this as well. So the goal here is to get to the 30-point threshold. And let's take a look at it. So when you get 30 main event tickets, you got 20 prize wall tickets. So what does that actually do for you? Well, on the prize wall, the easiest thing to translate this into is 30 points in the event in the event on day 1, so on the Saturday, got you 20 prize wall tickets. 20 prize wall tickets, the most efficient use out of them, and I'll get into some other examples in a bit, is to get the non-foil Rapunzel promo. Her current value is around $150 to $200. That's basically what I've been selling them at since DLC Chicago. So now, even if you don't finish in day 2, but you finish enough to have a decent weekend, you'll basically you're getting another $150 to $200. And I do want to say that over half the room in Chicago, over 550 players, made the 30-point threshold. And this is a great thing for multiple reasons. So it kept players playing the game throughout all of day 1, which is great because there really wasn't an opportunity to sign up for side events once you were kind of knocked out and you really weren't in the mood to play in them anyway. So now actually you had a reason to stay in the event during day 1. You really wanted to get to that 30-point threshold because it's $150 to $200 extra on top of it. So now you're getting a Dragonfire. You're essentially getting a Rapunzel. You're getting the promo for signing up. So even if you don't make day 2, you're pretty much at $255 to $300 in value just for showing up at a DLC and doing above. Now, I won't even say above average, just doing average in the event and getting to the 30-point threshold. You take $55 to get in and you're basically at $300. You can't beat that in today's TCG world anywhere outside of a Lorcana DLC. I'm sorry. The the value in these events is just off the charts for any TCG player, but especially for any competent Lorcana player. As you know, at the Forbidden Mountain, basically we are an entire conglomerate. We have YouTube, we have our Facebook page, we have our Patreon, etc. But the main way that we uh, fund ourselves to be able to go to these events is through our TCG player store. Um, we have a TCG player store, as you can see. It's the Forbidden Mountain TCG uh, Pro store that we have at TCG player. Whether you buy there or not, that's really not really my concern. The same prices are going to be available through our store or through the marketplace. So obviously, we appreciate if you buy some cards from us. We feel like we're competitively priced. You can see our feedback on there 100% with customer service, things like that. But really, what we're here to do, and the only way that we're actually able to fund ourselves is by selling through the store. And so currently, in order to restock ourselves, because we are between sets right now, we are currently buying Lorcana collections. So if you are selling all your extras, like you're just like, oh, I have all these extras. What do I do with them? We buy bulk. We buy all kinds of competitive cards, etc. And if you are getting out of the game, or you have a total like extra playset that you don't need or something like that, please contact below and sell with confidence to somebody that you know is going to be able to afford it. There's a lot of players out there on Facebook and things like that they're going to basically bargain you down because they can't afford to spend all that money at once. But if you are looking to buy for somebody that, or I'm sorry, sell to somebody that that you know with confidence that you know who we are, feel free to contact us below at the Forbidden Mountain TCG at gmail.com, and we'll definitely give you an estimate as to what your collection's worth or what your extras are worth, etc., what your bulk is worth, etc. And you can ship it off to us, and we'll appreciate it. So yeah, definitely contact us if you're looking to get rid of some cards. So let's take a look at that prize wall. What are you going to do with your 30 tickets? Obviously, I already mentioned the thing about the Rapunzel being the 20-point threshold that you really want to get to, but let's take a look at how the prize wall works in general. So this was the prize wall for Chicago, and I believe Bacchum was the exact same way. I'm not going to go through everything on there. You basically want to look for things that are exclusive. So actually you have exclusive shirts on there, exclusive hats. The keys are the exclusive Rapunzel gifted with healing promo, as you can see, for 20 points, which I already mentioned. There's also an exclusive Cinderella Stoutheart non-foil promo as well for 18 points. Pretty much the rest of the prizes on there, except for one that I'll mention in a second, are kind of irrelevant. I don't really think they're worth the value. In the top right, I put in there, again, for Chicago, what the on-demand pods were. So you have, like, for example, draft pods that were $35, starter deck pods that were $25, and etc. So all these pods are on-demand single elimination. So if you want to earn more tickets, this is the best way to do them. One of the best reasons for going to a DLC was to be able to earn extra prize tickets. You really, in my opinion, can't play in this level of event over a weekend in Lorcana right now, except for some very select events that I've seen around the country that might have a giant event on a Saturday and a side event that's still pretty big on a Sunday. It's pretty amazing for what you're doing here. So here's the prizes for the on-demand pods. You get 1 ticket just for participating. You win 1 round, you get 2 tickets. You get second, you get 5 tickets. You get first, you get 10 tickets. So winning a draft pod basically or any one of these pods really gets you halfway to getting a Rapunzel, which means basically if you're playing in a draft, for example, for 3 hours, you're basically winning half a Rapunzel. And so what is the value of that Rapunzel? Let's take a look. So the key to understanding is what is the actual value of a ticket. And we're going to use that Rapunzel as an example. And it's very important to understand because obviously paying $35 to get into a draft is not cheap, but it has value if you're going to win so many tickets throughout the day that you have on Sunday, or if you go as a attendee that you have on Saturday or Sunday. So let's take a look at what the ticket value actually is. So again, if we start out with the Rapunzel being $150 to $200 and 20 tickets, that's the most important thing. So when you divide that out, the ticket value is basically $7.50 to $10. Obviously, purchasing tickets is not legal at the event. I just want you to understand what it actually costs. So if you think about it logically, a $35 draft pod gets you a guaranteed ticket, and you open 4 packs. So basically, what I can tell you is, for me in Atlanta, I actually opened an Enchanted. So, that's extra value right there. But if you think about the actual retail value of those packs at $6 each, which I know, like, one of the LGSs I went to the other day is still charging that, for example. So a $35 draft pod, you have $24 in packs that you're basically able to take the best card out of it. If it's worth some decent money, you open a Diablo, open a Sisu, etc. You're going to be ahead of the game there. So basically, the draft is really only costing you, quote unquote, like $11 to actually play in. So you have a high value, the chance of getting a high value card. You actually have a chance of getting enchanted, and you have a chance of obviously winning more tickets. So, and the tickets themselves, like I said, are worth around $7.50 to $10, and you get that one of them automatically back. So drafting honestly doesn't cost you very much money in all, and you're basically playing for $7.50 to $100 in prizes, which is half the Rapunzel. That's the goal. I know it's not exactly like this, but think of it this way: $35 a draft, 4 packs, $6 each. That's $24. You have a chance in those packs. Obviously, you're not keeping all the cards, but you are taking decent value out of it. I can tell you, out of the drafts that I've played in, not counting the enchanted, that was obviously insane. I pretty much have drafted $35 in value out of those packs that go around. You can always take a rare. You can always take a legendary, etc. A lot of them are playable as it is, so you're pretty much getting value out of those to begin with. Then you get a ticket just for participating. And as we said, that ticket is worth $7.50 to $10. So take that right off the top as well. And you obviously have a chance to play in more prizes. Play for more prizes. You want to obviously get as best as possible those 10 tickets to get you halfway to a Rapunzel. But there's actually something above a Rapunzel in value. And this is where it's very difficult to do this by yourself for the weekend. But let's take a look at it. So the ultimate prize on the prize wall is the Cinderella Stout-Hearted foil playmat, which, as you can see on the left, Dan and I were actually able to earn one on Sunday in DLC Chicago. The current value of the Cinderella mat is basically $900 to $1,000 or $1,100, and it costs you 90 tickets, which puts the ticket value on getting the Cinderella mat actually above the value of getting the Rapunzel mat. And that makes sense, right? Getting to 90 tickets is a heck of a lot more than getting to 20 tickets. It's almost impossible for a single player to do it. You have to basically get together. Dan, myself, and our other teammates were actually able to pull a bunch of them together and get the Cinderella mat. But I mean, that's because a bunch of us actually hit the 30-point threshold on day one. That's why we had that 20 ticket buffer to start with. Even with just the two of us, 40 tickets to start the day, it was very difficult for us to get the extra 50 tickets to get to the playmat. So obviously there's a premium on getting that playmat, because otherwise you would just get a bunch of Cinderellas for 20 points, 20 tickets each, right? Like you get 4.5 Cinderellas. Obviously you can't get half of one, but you would get basically 4.5 Cinderellas. So the playmat has to be worth more than basically getting 4.5 Cinderellas, right? Because there has to be a premium on getting to that 90 ticket threshold. So the ultimate prize of getting that playmat has a premium to it. It's just very difficult. But it does up the ticket value as well. So what would you do? Would you just get a bunch of Cinderellas and a bunch of Rapunzels, or would you try to grind all weekend to try to get the playmat? Let me know in the comments below. I know there's not a lot of those playmats that are out there. I would say probably, like, if you include Bacchum, I would say probably like 25 to 40 of these playmats that exist out there in the world. I might be undershooting a little bit, but I know as of when Chicago ended, there weren't a lot of these playmats that were out there. The other thing I want to talk about that they just released this week for Dallas, Fort Worth, is the upcoming massive Sunday events. So now all of a sudden there is these large constructed events with higher entry fees, of course, $40. But instead of the other side events that basically sold out right away in Chicago and Atlanta, these are much larger events with 512 players that are able to play in them. It's basically just a copy of the event that there is on Saturday. I'm sure when we have Toronto, that the Shimmering Skies will be legal, for example. This will be the first kickoff of that, so that'll be exciting. But you basically have these massive events on Sunday, which are really cool. So let's take a look at those prizes. So what do you get for your $40? And of course, there's a melee fee of $4 as well. Well, you get 7 tickets just for playing. And again, like we said, that's anywhere from $7.50 to $10 per ticket. Keep that in mind. First place gets 300 tickets. That's over 3 Cinderella mats that you can turn in for. That basically means that this event is essentially like a $3,500 prize, like $3,200 to $3,500 prize. That's insane for a side event at a DLC. And there's one of these at 9 a.m. and there's one of these, I believe, that starts at 8 a.m. So you have 2 of these massive events on Sunday. You can't play in both of them, obviously, but the first prize is awesome. Second prize is 200 tickets, which is still over 2 prize mats. Third to fourth is still enough, 150 to enough to get basically, I believe, 3 Rapunzels and a playmat. I mean, so that right there is basically what, over $1,500 for making third to fourth. Fifth through eighth is still getting enough to get the Cinderella playmat. So that's basically top eight is basically getting $1,000, which is really awesome. That I can't even. I mean, right there, even if it was all top eight gets $1,000, that's almost the equivalent of like a 10K. Like this is insane. Like totally awesome. And I really hope that anyone going to Dallas Fort Worth will sign up for these immediately. I believe that they go on sale on the 15th. I would highly recommend that you guys sign up for these. Even no one plans on not making day two, but I'm sure you can get a refund if you're not able to play in the event. So I would highly recommend playing in them. 9 through 16 still gets 80 tickets. So if you hit the 30-point threshold on day one and you 9th through 16th on this, there's your Cinderella playmat right there. Another, like basically 9th through 16th, which I would imagine if you did that, you also have 10 tickets somewhere else. Besides the fact that you're getting 7 tickets just for signing up, 3 more tickets would be all you would need from day one, which is pretty easy to achieve. You're also getting a Cinderella playmat. So realistically, 9th through like all the way up to 16th is automatically getting that Cinderella playmat. Even 17th through 32nd, like basically if you're equivalent of the top 16, you're still getting 75 tickets. So again, 75 tickets combined with the 7 tickets that you're getting for participation, and then again, what you probably earned on day one, you're probably right there to get a Cinderella playmat as well. Top 64 still gets any of that Lorcana apparel. And if you looked at that chart earlier, there was no way that anyone in the past was really going to choose that apparel. This is to give you a little peek behind the curtain. This is pretty a sore subject between Dan and myself. He always wants that Lorcana hat, and I always said, "There's no way you're going to get a Lorcana hat for 12 tickets when we can almost get a Cinderella for 20. Like that's never going to happen. There's no way that those hats. Like I'm not going to be able to like. I can't justify paying $120 for a hat, and that's basically what it was. But now you get it for top 64. You get that Lorcana apparel, which is really great because I think they probably have a lot of it that people weren't using, and this is a great way to use it and a great way to show it off. There's one thing I didn't mention, and I know we need to get into it, which is basically the travel and lodging cost that's involved in going to a DLC. I know that I really can't take that in consideration. We know the $55 entry fee. We know the entry fee into the side events, including the big side events. We don't really know how much it's going to cost you to get to a DLC. If you're local, it's not going to cost you as much. If you have to travel far distances, it's obviously going to cost you a lot more. So I know it's the elephant in the room. That's why I put it on the picture. So for me, for Atlanta and Chicago, I'm estimating that the all-in travel and lodging costs. I stayed in an Airbnb in Atlanta. In Chicago, I stayed in the actual event where the hotel where the event was. I anticipate it being around $550 to $600 for you to basically get to one of these events. Obviously, the longer you wait for your ticket, or the further distance you have to travel, or the lack of a hub or something like that. If it's not in a populated area or something like that, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But I anticipate it being around $550 to $600 total. Obviously, if you live closer or you want to drive, I'm sure that price will be cut down. I'm not factoring in if you have a real job and like have to take PTO. Like this is kind of like your hobby. I'm not factoring that in at all. Also, when you go to an event, like obviously you're paying for all your meals. You're not home. I guess if you're in the Airbnb, you can buy a bunch of food. But either way, like I'm not factoring that in at all because you got to eat, right? Like I mean, I can't help that. And if I look at these events also as vacations and the ability to hang out with friends. So I would want to go out to eat anyway. So my point is, I'm not here to put a value on how you get to these events and how you spend your time. If you do well at the events, I would look at it like I do think these are important factors to take into consideration. You know, if you do well at the events, obviously, like I said earlier, it's $55 to get the event, and then you're basically making almost $300 getting, or I'm sorry, probably around $250 to get out of it. That extra $200 is probably where you're going to spend a lot of this. It's obviously not offsetting the total cost of what's going on. So that's why I really say that realistically, you need to grind it out on the second day or make it into day two, whether it's side events or actually make it into day two to really offset some of these costs. But really that's what you're paying for, right? The ability to really hit the big time, right? So what's the bottom line of all this? So obviously attending a DLC is the pinnacle of organized play currently for Lorcana. until we have information on the Continentals or on Worlds, etc. I can't imagine these are going to get are going to be replaced by those. They're just going to be like the next level up. But realistically, there's only going to be so many of them a year. There's going to be a lot more DLCs throughout the year. I wouldn't be surprised if next year there was probably one a month. I'm just throwing that out there. So any competent players should be expected to be ahead on the tickets themselves, up around $45 to $50, just on buying the ticket itself. And of course, reaching the 20-point threshold, and you do not try to get that Cinderella man on day 2, or you fail to get it, you're still up to $150 to $200 in value. Of course, that does not cost your travel costs as well. So before factoring in travel costs, you're still earning $200 to $250 just for showing up and performing pretty average. Again, like I said, over half of Chicago reached the 30-point threshold. And that gives you the ability to win even more, whether you make day 2 or whether you play inside events in day 2. And that's not even counting those giant events that I showed you earlier. So if you reach day 2 or beyond, or you do really well in that giant side event on day 2, or you just grind it out on day 2, you basically paid for the rest of your seasons of events. And that, in my opinion, counts the travel costs as well. If you do well in day 2 in side events, 3-0 a couple events, then you're basically up to it. Each side event that you 3-0 is basically another $75 to $100 each. So realistically, like, in my opinion, like, where can you play Lorcana for an entire weekend with the opportunity to play for such great prizes that you're ahead of the game and hang out with your friends and be part of this great community event? There's just not an opportunity to. I know it's not all really about winning, but I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or intimidated by these events. Just know that with a good head on your shoulders, playing above average, and you go into it with a plan like, if I don't make day 2, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to play in this one big event, and if I do well there, okay. If I don't, I'm going to play in this many drafts, etc. Like, if you just have a plan as to how you're going to earn tickets and use them, you can be ahead of the game and pay for your entire trip just in one trip. Honestly, if you really grind it out and you do really well, whether the event itself or whether side events, I'm not counting like, I'm going to make top 8, I'm going to win a gold Mickey. Obviously, that's, to me, is life-changing money for a lot of people. But even if you just are like, okay, my goal is to, like, get to the equal to top 64 to get that let it go. And then maybe I'll, if I don't make day 2, I'm going to do well in the side event, thing like that. You can honestly pay for your entire season's worth of trips in one event if you really grind it out in the side events. The side tickets, the ticket wall is so important. Again, study that list, know what you want to get, and go from there. I can't recommend it higher. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Are DLCs too intimidating for you? Do you think they're worth it to travel to? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this kind of analysis of what happens at the events, I know this is not like hardcore metagame analysis, but it's really meta analysis on actually attending the events. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be real curious to know what you think. I know it's been a while since I've had one of these videos. You can always check me out, my weekly finance reports on Lorcana.gg. If you are a DLC, it's been a great time. It's overwhelming for me to meet so many of you guys. I really appreciate everything. I love when you come up to me and say hi. I love taking pictures. I love, some people have me sign stuff, which is just crazy. I really appreciate it. But if I haven't met you at a DLC and you want to say hi, please come up to me and say hi. It's a great time. I can't recommend these events higher, and I can't wait for the next one. See ya.